Nova Terra was a paradise carved out of dust and silence. The twin suns cast golden light across its valleys, where tall crystal trees shimmered like glass and fields of glowing wheat swayed under gentle winds. Children laughed, drones hummed as they worked, and life thrived. James stood on the edge of his porch, his daughter's small hand wrapped around his finger. Her name was Ilya, just 5 years old, full of questions about everything. His wife Lyra was inside preparing breakfast. The smell of synth bread and eggs drifted through the open doorway. "This planet is lucky to have us," James said, smiling at the quiet world around him. "Will the stars ever fall, Daddy?" Ilya asked, looking up at the sky. He knelt down and smiled. "No, sweetheart, the stars don't fall. They just shine." But James was wrong. A low rumble cut through the air. Then a second, deeper one. He looked up and saw it. Black shadows pierced the blue sky. Ships, massive, silent. No markings, just sleek, sharp angles and glowing red engines. A chill went down his spine. The Empire had come. Then the sky exploded. Screams erupted. A bright white light lit up the valley, followed by a deafening shockwave. James grabbed Ilya and ran inside. Windows shattered. The house trembled. "Lyra," he shouted. She ran out from the kitchen, eyes wide with fear. "What's happening?" "They found us." "James." "No, Ilya." A blast hit nearby. The walls blew apart. James was thrown to the floor, his ears ringing. Dust filled the air. He couldn't see. He reached out blindly. "Ilya." "Lyra." No answer. He crawled through rubble, bleeding, coughing. A second explosion nearby knocked him unconscious. Darkness swallowed everything. When he opened his eyes, the sky was gray. Smoke curled into the heavens. The valley was gone. His home was gone. Bodies lay scattered. The warmth of life had turned cold. A drone hovered overhead. A Terran Spectre Recon unit. It locked onto his body. Vital signs stable. Identity confirmed. Commander James of Terra Fleet. Extraction initiated. The drone grabbed his body with mechanical arms and lifted him toward the sky. As they ascended, James looked down at the ruins of Nova Terra. His home, his family, his heart. Now dust. Fortress Helios. Outer space, orbiting a dead star. James awoke in a cold chamber, surrounded by metallic walls and glowing monitors. His muscles ached. His chest was tight. A scar ran across his cheek. New, a man stood over him. Bald, stern eyes. Black uniform. "Welcome back, Commander," the man said. "We didn't think we'd ever wake you." James sat up slowly. "Where am I?" "Fortress Helios. Earth's last defense post. You've been asleep for 2 weeks." James looked down at his hands. His skin was bruised, scraped. His fingers trembled. "My family." The man didn't answer. Silence. "Then they're gone." James's heart cracked in silence. "I'm General Drax," the man continued. "We've just activated Project Revenant." James stared blankly. "I buried my name with them." "You don't have that luxury anymore," Drax said. "The Galactic Empire has made their move. They want total control." James's voice was a whisper. "Then we'll show them what a human can do when he has nothing left to lose." Drax nodded. "You'll lead the Spectres again. The war has started." James looked through the chamber window, out at the endless void of stars, silent, indifferent, waiting. And in that moment, something inside him came alive. Not just rage. Purpose. The Spectre Bay was buried deep inside Fortress Helios. Its corridors were dark, cold and silent. Only the hum of hidden machinery echoed beneath the floors. James walked slowly, his boots heavy with memory. He hadn't been here in years, not since the peace treaties were signed. Back then, war seemed like a fading dream. But peace was over. At the end of the corridor stood 3 figures, waiting in the shadows. John leaned against a rail, chewing on a metal toothpick. His sharp eyes scanned everything, even in rest. Walker, tall and solid, adjusted the rifle strap to his back. Calm, focused, reliable. And David, the youngest, paced back and forth, his hands twitching with restless energy. James stepped forward. They turned. For a moment no one spoke. Then John grinned. "Well, I'll be damned. The ghost is back." James nodded once. "We've got work to do." Inside the command room, the team gathered around a glowing table. A large hologram of the galaxy flickered in front of them. Red dots marked known Imperial fleets. Blue dots were human colonies. Most of them had been wiped clean. General Drax stepped in. "Listen up. The Galactic Empire thinks we're scattered and broken. They're wrong." He tapped the table. A hidden system lit up. Sector 9. Far off in the dead zone. "This," he said, "is where we fight back. There's someone we need to find. Outpost 0. Dead zone. 2 days later, the team's stealth ship, Valkyrie, broke through a dense asteroid field. Outpost 0 floated ahead, half buried in ice and silence. It was once a research facility. But now it was forgotten, except for one man. William. He was a former Empire strategist, a defector, and he knew how the enemy thought. Inside the outpost, the air was stale. Ice covered the walls. Lights flickered weakly. The team moved in formation, weapons ready. In the center chamber, a figure sat in a chair surrounded by old screens and wires. "You took your time," William said, not looking up. His voice was cold, quiet. "We need your help," James said. William stood slowly. His face was older than expected. Worn, tired, but sharp. "I warned them. I told the Empire not to poke the bear," William said. "But they laughed." James stared at him. "And now I want to watch it burn." Back aboard the Valkyrie, William laid out a map. "They'll strike again, harder and deeper. But they've made a mistake." "What mistake?" David asked. "They think humanity fights with strength, but we fight with pain. They don't understand what it does to us." William tapped another location on the map. "We need to awaken the ship buried here. It's not just a weapon, it's alive." Walker narrowed his eyes. "You're talking about Staler, aren't you?" William nodded. "The Empire shut her down because they feared her. But she's one of yours. And she remembers." The Valkyrie shifted course. As the stars stretched around them, James sat in silence. His mind wandered to Aaliyah, her laughter, her little hand in his. That day, Walker sat across from him. "You okay?" "No," James said. "And that's the point." Jen chimed in from the pilot seat. "Let's go wake the ghost." Far ahead, hidden behind the remains of a shattered moon, the long-forgotten hangar of Staler waited. Sealed, silent, and pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. And the war was only just beginning. The hangar was buried inside the broken shell of a moon. Its surface was cracked and jagged, with sharp rock spikes jutting out like broken teeth. The Valkyrie moved slowly, slipping through debris and radiation clouds until it reached a hidden passage in the rock. Inside, the chamber was massive. Metal walls curved inward like a dome, rusted with age. At the center floated a dark, sleek warship, still silent and powerful. "Staler. She's been asleep for years," William said as the team stepped off the ship. "But she was designed to wake for one man." James walked closer. Staler was unlike any ship he had seen. Her surface was smooth and seamless. No windows, no weapons visible. Just a faint blue pulse along her spine, like a heartbeat. Walker raised his rifle slightly. "You sure this thing won't turn on us?" "She won't," James said. "She's one of us." He reached out and placed his hand on her hull. It was warm. Suddenly, lights flickered across the chamber. A soft hum filled the air. The ship spoke. "Commander James. Identity confirmed. Welcome back." The voice was female. Calm, clear, but it had a strange warmth to it. "I am Staler." James stepped back. "Do you know what happened?" "I have full memory of Nova Terra. I felt the silence when you lost them." James's eyes narrowed. "Then you know why I'm here." "Yes," she said. "You want justice." "No," he replied. I want the Empire to feel what I felt. Over the next 2 days, Staylor synced with James's neural implant. He could now feel her presence in his mind, quiet, watching, aware. She wasn't just a ship. She had thoughts, instincts, emotions. Walker and David ran diagnostics. Jane handled the external systems. William analyzed old Empire codes, still buried in her memory. She's not just advanced, Jane said. She's terrifying. She was banned for a reason. William added. Too smart, too emotional. The Empire feared she would choose sides. And she did, James said. The next mission was set. Infiltrate mining colony XR-17, a slave camp under Empire control. The goal was simple. Rescue key alien leaders and send a message. They launched at night. Staylor moved like a shadow, invisible to scanners. She slipped through enemy patrols, bypassed satellites, and descended silently. Inside the colony, the air was thick with smoke and pain. Thousands of alien workers toiled under heavy guard. The Empire used them like tools, giving them no names, only numbers. James, Walker, and David moved in on foot, dressed in stolen armor. Jane hacked into the security grid, turning off cameras. William stayed aboard to guide the strike from above. The team reached the central bunker and breached the doors with silent charges. Inside they found them, 3 alien leaders, Sale, Braca, and Irin, all chained, all starving, but their eyes still burned with life. We're here to free you, James said. Braca, a towering reptilian, growled. Why now? After all this time? James unlocked the chains. Because they made us wait too long. Alarms finally sounded. Empire troops rushed in. A firefight erupted. Walker covered the rear. David led the aliens out. James moved like a ghost, his rifle flashing. Suddenly a dropship opened fire from above, pinning them down. Staylor, we need cover, James yelled. In seconds the sky split open. Staylor descended with blazing engines. Energy cannons tore through the enemy ship with precision. Her shields flared as she hovered overhead. Doors opening. Extraction point marked, she said. Get in. They loaded the rescued aliens aboard and took off just before backup arrived. Back on the Valkyrie, Sale approached James. Her eyes glowed softly. You risked much to save us. Why? James looked at her. Because the Empire doesn't fear you, but they fear us. And if we stand together, they'll learn why. Sale nodded. Then let this be the first spark. William smiled faintly. The rebellion has begun. James turned to look at Staylor, her lights pulsing gently. This was just a whisper, he said. Soon the galaxy will hear us scream. The stars outside the Valkyrie looked cold and distant as the ship floated in deep space. Inside, the crew was silent. The last mission had been a success, but it wasn't a victory, not yet. They had freed prisoners, but the Empire still controlled most of the galaxy. James stood alone on the bridge, staring at the dark void. They're starting to listen, Walker said, stepping beside him. They have no choice, James replied. But it won't be enough. Not unless we wake the Ghost Fleet. The Ghost Fleet was a myth, a secret project buried by Earth decades ago. Dozens of prototype warships with quantum cloaks, left drifting in dark space, built for a war that never came, until now. The location was hidden deep inside the Maw Nebula, a region of collapsing stars and gravity storms. No one went there. Not even the Empire. John flew the Valkyrie through the narrow corridor of the nebula, his hands steady on the controls. Energy waves crackled against the hull. This place is cursed, David muttered. It's the perfect hiding place, William replied. Even the stars here scream. Finally they saw it. A massive ring-shaped structure floating in silence. A forgotten dock. Its lights were dead. But inside, shadows of ships waited, huge, dark, and still. The Ghost Fleet, James said quietly. They docked and entered the command core. The air was dry. Everything was powered down. But the ships were intact, waiting like sleeping giants. This system was locked for decades, John said, working at the main console. No external commands, only direct override. Whose clearance? David asked. John turned to James. Yours. James stepped forward and placed his hand on the console. His neural implant linked with the system. Lights flickered. Then one by one the ships lit up. Engines hummed. Holograms appeared. Systems checked in. Power surged across the dock. The ghost fleet was awake. As the fleet powered up, alarms blared inside the station. Unidentified ships inbound. Walker shouted, "It's the Empire. They followed us." 3 Varelian cruisers broke through the nebula edge, firing at once. The hangar shook. Debris flew. "We need to move," James ordered. Sadis, Walker and William ran to secure the ships. John stayed behind to keep the core online. James and David rushed to the launch bay. Fighters exploded around them. A blast knocked David off his feet. "Go," he shouted. "Get them out." "No," James yelled, grabbing his arm. But David shoved him away and sprinted to the manual override panel. With one last look, he smiled. "Don't waste this." He slammed the release. The core exploded. The blast threw James back. He landed hard inside Staler's hangar. Doors shut behind him. The ship launched instantly. Outside, the ghost fleet poured out of the station like a storm, invisible, fast, deadly. They tore through the enemy cruisers with precision. The battle was short, but brutal. When the smoke cleared, the Empire's ships were gone, but so was David. Later, inside the Valkyrie, the crew sat in silence. No one spoke. No one had to. James stared at the empty seat where David once sat. "He gave us the fleet," Walker said quietly. James nodded. "And now we use it." He stood, voice steady. "This ends on Varelia. We hit the heart. No more warnings. No more waiting." Staler's voice echoed through the room. "Coordinates locked. Ghost fleet ready. Commander, we await your word." Teams clenched his fists. "Then, let's show the Empire what a real war looks like." The ghost fleet hovered in deep space like a silent storm. Dozens of cloaked warships, armed with forbidden tech, waited for one word from James. Staler, fully synced with him now, glided ahead like a predator in the dark. The target, Varelia, the heart of the Galactic Empire. It was a massive moon orbiting a dying star, covered in towers of black steel, shield arrays and orbital guns. It had never been touched by war. The Empire believed it was untouchable. They were wrong. Inside the Valkyrie, the crew gathered for the final briefing. The room was quiet, serious. "This is it," James said. "No turning back. We disable their command grid, destroy their AI core, and take out Ambassador. Security will be tight," Walker said. "How do we get in?" "Through their pride," William replied. "They won't expect a full attack, especially not from humans." James looked at each of them, Walker, John, William, and nodded. "David gave his life for this. We won't let it go to waste." Phase 1, Disruption. The Ghost Fleet attacked first. Cloaked ships slipped past outer defenses, knocking out communication satellites and sensor relays. Empire patrols fell before they could even raise alarms. Staler led the strike, weaving between defense beams and firing precision blasts. Her voice was calm but sharp. Outer ring collapsing. Path open to command sector. Explosions lit the sky as orbital stations crumbled. Phase 2, Infiltration. James, Walker, and John boarded a dropship and descended to the surface. The landing zone was chaos. Sirens blaring. Empire soldiers scrambling. They moved fast, dressed in stolen armor. Inside the command complex, they followed William's map to the core chamber. Blasts echoed behind them. Rebel allies, freed species from the mining colonies, had joined the fight. The Empire's forces were spread thin. 3 minutes to core, John said, checking his tracker. Then the alarms changed. A voice boomed across the base. "This is Ambassador. The humans have arrived. Eliminate them." Doors slammed shut. Turrets dropped from the ceilings. Walker shot them down with sharp bursts. James kicked open a side door, leading them through a maintenance tunnel. "They're trying to trap us," he said. "They're too late," Walker replied. Phase 3, the confrontation. The core chamber was massive, walls of glowing data, pulsing with energy. In the center stood Ambassador, wearing black Imperial armor. His eyes were calm, cold. "So this is the famous human rage," he said, turning to face them. James stepped forward, weapon raised. "You killed my family, my people. You called us chaos." Ambassador nodded. "Because that's what you are. A fire that consumes everything." James lowered his gun. "Then let me show you what fire really does." Without warning, Staler broke through the roof above, blasting a hole in the ceiling. Her voice echoed, "James, now." He ran to the console and inserted the quantum core John had carried. It synced instantly with the system. Ambassador charged, but Walker tackled him. They fought hand to hand, punches, slams, boots against steel. James activated the core. The lights flickered. A deep hum filled the room. Staler's voice dropped into a whisper. AI matrix collapsing. Varelia command core shutting down. Ambassador broke free and aimed a blade at James. But Walker fired first. The shot hit Ambassador in the chest. He staggered back, falling to his knees. "You ruined everything," he gasped. James looked down at him. "No, we ended it." Ambassador collapsed, dead. Phase 4, escape. With the core destroyed, the Empire's ships fell out of sync. Their AI systems failed. Their fleet scattered. The rebel forces surged forward, capturing the remaining towers. James, Walker, and John escaped through a rising dropship as the building behind them crumbled. Staler flew beside them, her lights flickering gently. Victory confirmed. Empire grid offline. Rebellion signal spreading to outer systems. In orbit, the last of the Empire's command fleet exploded. The sky over Varelia turned dark, lit only by burning wreckage. The heart of the Empire had fallen, and the galaxy would never be the same. Varelia burned behind them. The war was over. James stood on the deck of the Valkyrie, staring out the window. Smoke rose from the once mighty towers of the Empire's capital moon. The black sky was filled with drifting wreckage, some still glowing from battle. No enemy ships remained. The ghost fleet hovered above in silence. Its job was done. Walker joined him, arm in a sling, his face marked with bruises. "We did it," he said quietly. James didn't answer right away. His eyes were fixed on the stars beyond Varelia. "They thought we were broken," he said. "They thought pain made us weak." "They were wrong," Walker replied. "It made us dangerous." On the surface of Varelia, rebel flags now flew where the Empire's crest once stood. Sel Braca and Irin, the leaders James had rescued, had taken control. Free species from across the galaxy were arriving, forming a new council. A council where humanity finally had a seat, but James didn't want it. He turned down every offer: power, rank, honors. He had done what he came to do. Now he wanted something else. Peace. In the ship's main hall, John adjusted a new prosthetic arm. He had lost his real one during the last strike. He joked about it, but James saw the pain in his eyes. "Thinking of sticking around?" John asked. James shook his head. "I'm leaving." "Figures," John said. "You're not one for thrones." "I was never built for them." They shook hands, firm with respect. John gave a crooked smile. "Try not to start another war." Staler was waiting in the launch bay. Her sleek hull had been repaired. Her voice was calm, softer than before. Coordinates entered. Unknown sector. Uncharted. James stood before her, carrying only a single bag. No medals, no weapons, just memory. "Wherever we go," he said, "we go quiet." "As always," Staler replied. Walker arrived to see him off. "You'll vanish?" he asked. James looked back. "Not vanish, just drift, like the rest of the ghosts." Walker gave him a nod. "You earned it." James stepped aboard. The doors closed. Engines hummed. The Valkyrie watched as Staler lifted into the stars, growing smaller and smaller until it disappeared into the black. Days passed. Peace spread across sectors. Former enemies met without violence. The Empire's systems, once ruled by fear, began to rebuild with hope. For the first time in 100 years, silence meant calm, not danger. Children played under new skies. Colonies rebuilt. The galaxy breathed again. Far away in an old Imperial vault, buried deep in a cold asteroid belt, a forgotten AI core flickered to life. Its screen displayed a message: Human Combat Protocol, re-evaluate. Underestimation, catastrophic. A robotic voice whispered in the dark. They remembered what we forgot, that humans never surrender. Then the screen went dark.